This is the Dery Brothers Tribecast, a podcast for diehard Cleveland Indians fans. Presented to you by waitingfornextyear.com. Now, here are the hosts, Matt and Todd Dery.
All right, let's do this, everybody. Another edition of the Dery Brothers Tribecast on an off day, Monday, Sunday night recording, actually, after a sweep. Tribe taking care of the Blue Jays today, 3-1. Matt Dery, Todd Dery with you. The Tribe all of a sudden has won 4 in a row. Living right at 6-3. Woo-wee! Only 150 some odd games left to go. Todd Dery is on assignment and is on location. What's up, buddy?
You know, I'm just living that dream. I got to see I went to 3 games this week, so I'm right there on halfway. 3 out of the 6. Saw 2 wins and 1 loss. And, I just love the fact that, like I said last week, I just love the fact that it's every single day. I mean, I know we're not playing Monday, but we can just keep going and going every day and dissect it more and more, and I just love it so much.
If you're new to the Tribecast, welcome everybody. You're listening courtesy of our friends at waitingfornextyear.com. You get the podcast right off the website or on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, heck, even on iTunes. Matt and Todd Dery, longtime Tribe fans. We're brought to you by our friends at Groove Ride. Todd will tell you a little bit more about Groove Ride coming up. Best place really to work out in the city of Cleveland with 3 area locations. All right, so Todd, obviously pitching is carrying the day and will continue. Whoa, what's going on? What's going on in the background there?
That's my Uber. So
Ooh-wee.
It's okay.
Just
ignore the voice you hear in the background.
No, it's all good. That makes this a party. I mean, the Tribe swept. Might as well get your Uber driver's thoughts on the Marlins. But let's talk about pitching is carrying the day for this team. We know that. Starting pitching's been fantastic. Another great outing today from Mike Clevenger. Bauer had 2 outings and has given up 1 hit. The bullpen, while it has its moments, we'll talk about. Offense has been a different story. And I want to start with Carlos Santana. My goodness, Papa Santana coming home. This dude has been fantastic. I mean, OPS over 1,000, hitting 419 today. A huge first inning hit off of Marcus Stroman to give the Tribe the lead when first base was open, and I have no clue what Blue Jays manager Charlie Montoya was thinking with first base open and Bake went on deck that Santana would see any pitches, but he served one into left field. He's hitting the ball over the ballpark, a walk-off homer the other night. What a fantastic start for a fantastic Clevelander.
I have to tell you that it's pretty amazing to watch Carlos do his work the way he's going. And back at home, you know what he's doing? The last couple years he was here, he was so pull happy and everything. He was trying to yank everything.
Yeah.
He went that double down the line today. He went with that away pitch, took it right down the line. It was fantastic. Hang on one sec. Hang on. Okay. Sorry about that. Anyways, he yanked that pitch the other way. It was fantastic. I absolutely loved it. And I love his approach. It's so good to have someone you can count on in the middle of the lineup. And like you said, by the way, that Blue Jays manager, not only did he pitch to Carlos with first base open, he did it later in the game, too, with J-Ram. And I think he did the same thing yesterday, too, or Saturday, if memory serves me correctly. I don't know what this guy's doing. I don't know if he's a young team, he wants these guys to learn, but to pitch to Carlos Santana with Tyler Naquin on deck with first base open, the guy's leading the league in hitting. There's nobody hotter. I don't know why he would do it, but I'm glad he did. That Blue Jays team is
Woo-wee. They are hot garbage. Shappy and Ross doing what they do best, stripping it down to the bare nubs. Oh, baby. They blow.
It's got to be really upsetting to be a Blue Jays fan, to know where you were 3 years ago, and now to look at this pile of crap they are putting out there, and without their best, 2 prospects, Bo Bichette's still down in the minors, and Vlad Guerrero Jr., who they've kept under wraps, is hurt. But, I'm glad that's not my team. That's for sure.
Well, I'll say this. You watch the opponent this weekend, and the Tribe allowed just six runs all weekend in that Blue Jays lineup, and most of those guys are pretty 4A. And I like Teoscar Hernandez. He's off to a lousy start, but he's always hurt the Indians. Galvis is a professional. Grichuk just got a huge deal, which I don't really understand, but he's a professional. other than that, you're right. Up and down that lineup, it's hot garbage. And you look at what the Indians were able to do. And look, it's the first week of the season. They're 6-3. We're happy off a 4-game sweep. It's exciting. The red uniforms seem to be working, which is cool. But I think we're such a far ways away from celebrating anything yet. Now, this week, the Indians, and I know it's going to happen here in Detroit. Everybody's going to go, big series coming up. They do that every year in April when the Tribe comes to town or the Tigers go to the Jake. Everybody goes, big series, big series. The Tigers notoriously fast starters, opposite of the Indians. So Detroit's playing pretty well. They're 7-3, but again, they've played pretty much Lehigh Valley's Yankees, because that's what they are. The Blue Jays, who we saw, and they're horrible. And Kansas City might be worse, with Salvi out for the year. So still tough to gauge, a long ways to go, but you love seeing what Santana's doing. And Todd, you brought it up to just now. Everybody's pitching Carlos away, and he's hitting the ball the other way, which you're right. If that's the game plan, it's not working, because he's just been unbelievable, and that's what they've needed in the middle of that lineup, because with Lindor out, Kipnis out, Cargo not ready, he has to carry this offense and has to continue.
And, you're not really getting much out of Hanley as well. It's nice. I'm here to eat some crow today. I was in the building to watch Tyler Naquin go 3 for 3, and he didn't throw anybody out, but there was a play in right that he held, I can't remember who it was, to a single, where he fired an absolute seed to second base. So, batting in third was stupid when he's, I know he hit fifth today out of necessity, but, it's nice to see Naquin even getting some hits. This weekend, the sweep was the straight up Tribe formula of how we're going to win, which is pitching, great starting pitching, timely hitting, and good defense. That's how we're going to win games. And Clevenger was fantastic today. Obviously, we'll get into the Bauer situation. Carlos Carrasco had to pitch with a big lead, did a nice job. And Bieber was 6 innings, 2 runs, your fifth starter. I mean, it's just that's the formula for the Indians, especially this early without those guys. That's the formula we're going to need to win games. And so you're going to have to ride it out.
No, you are, and until you get Lindor back, and Jose Ramirez isn't exactly swinging a hot bat either. I know he had the RBI single today, and again with first base open, which made no sense with Jake Bauers on deck. I love the swings I'm seeing from Bauers. I know he's only hitting 192, and his OBP's below 300. Same for Jose. I mean, the fact of the matter is, and I'll continue to say what we've said the last couple of weeks, Todd. If this team ends up at the end of April at 500, I'll be happy. We never start fast, ever. Pitching and playing in these cold conditions. You're without your best player, Lindor. I know we can hate on Kipnis all we want and everything else, but they need him back. I mean, this Brad Miller, Max Moroff experiment at second base. Come on, give me a break. Brad Miller's a professional, but that's about it. And then Carlos Gonzalez, I'm assuming, is going to be playing very regularly when he comes up. They didn't sign him not to play. Yes, Naquin went 3 for 3 today, so his average is over 300. Maybe this is the start of something. But as far as power and production out of the outfield, we haven't seen much. I know Bauers DH'd today, and Greg Allen played left. And Greg Allen's 1 for 17, 1 for 18, and we love GA and everyday GA, but he's not exactly lighting it up either. So guys have, I think, another week and a half before some major decisions are made about who's going to go down. Is it going to be Luke Lowe? Is it going to be Greg Allen? They've got about another week and a half before that decision's going to be made.
We talked about Kipnis, and I've been as big of a critic of Kipnis as anybody as well. But like you said, he's a professional player, and that's what we need. We need him back, to be honest, because like you said, that Brad Miller, Moroff, Stamets triangle of death is uninspiring to say the least. But as my Twitter friend Kevin Dean has pointed out, the Indians are 6-3, and they're 24th in runs, 27th in WRC plus, and 30th in strikeout percentage. So, again, the good news is you can only play who's on your schedule, right? I know they played junk, and you can say the same thing for the Tigers. But these are the games you got to win. and they've found ways to do it. I know we talked, I am a huge Jake Bauers fan. We've said this. The athleticism he shows, to me, he shouldn't ever DH. He should just always be playing in the outfield, in left field. I mean, I know Greg Allen today you'd probably have him over Bauers, but, he showed some real range out there in the outfield. And then on the Greg Allen part of it, I love it. I was the one who coined the everyday GA thing, although I think Jeremy might have done that, show contributor. But
what about Brian Aggs Silver, another show regular who wants some love? He wants some love.
Yeah. Well, listen, he watches every inning and he'll get it as well. But Greg Allen was so good this spring, and yes, it's a slow start, but he's had spotty at bats. He's only had like 3 or 4 starts, and he's had some spotty pinch hitting situations. He had a couple of early season moved runners, sack fly, bunt, that kind of stuff, and he's always going to be there. I think the odd man out when Cargo comes is going to be Luplow, because you're going to need 5 outfield. There's going to be 5 outfielders, right? Allen needs to be there because he's a switch hitter and the speed in the defense. The way Naquin is going and the way Tito loves Naquin, I don't see how he gets sent out as much as, I'm on board with that.
Right. He's, the Naquin is 7 for his last 16.
Yes. And obviously you're not going to send out Bauers and you're not going to send out Leonis Martin. So that would leave Luplow as the odd man out, even though Cargo's a left-handed bat and Luplow's a right-handed bat. So it's going to be interesting to see how that all shakes out. But as we talked about before, the Stamets and Miller and Moroff, and I like Moroff as long as he's a utility man. It's just the bottom third every day is just ugh.
Yeah, Max has actually delivered a couple of clutch hits. The one being in the opening day comeback, and the other one the other night against the Blue Jays. So I think Moroff, and because he can also hit right-handed, will be around. The Eric Stamets story is such a good one and a nice one because he's a Dublin kid. He's from Ohio. He grew up an Indians fan and everything else. He just can't hit. He could play the field. He turned a nice twin killing, as Matt Underwood would call it, today in the 8th inning for Brad Hand, and we'll get to the 5-out save in a second. This poor guy, I called it. I told you at the start of the year, they're going to overuse this cat, and it's already starting. But you got to win games, and there's days off in between, so that's good. But Stamets can definitely play the field. He just cannot hit. I mean, he's just so slow with the bat.
His swing reminds me of J.J. Hardy, but J.J. Hardy had a nice run. Stamets doesn't have that. Like you said, nice story. Frankie can't get here soon enough. Speaking of Frankie, very interesting today. I'm in the park with both my kids, and there were 4, it's like a millennial pair of couples behind us. And they were like, I heard one of the women say, I miss Frankie. When's Frankie coming back? No, but it's to the point of the fans want him. The fans need him. And the casual fan doesn't want to see Eric Stamets. So, they need Frankie for a multitude of reasons, but he's their one drawing card. So he needs to get back for several reasons, ASAFP.
Dery Brothers Tribecast, Matt and Todd with you. Another edition here. Off day Monday coming up. The Indians will head to Detroit. By the way, 3 day games. Thanks a lot, Tigers. I can't go to any 3. Fuckers. Seriously, this is ridiculous. 3 straight day games? I know it's early, it's April, it's weather and everything else, but can we sprinkle in one night game for me to go to? Guess not. Some of us have to work. Jeez.
Yeah, exactly. What's interesting is we were talking about I was listening to Ken Carmen and Anthony Lima, my buddies, this week, and they were having a whole conversation about the weather in April, and they should start the season later. And it was like a whole long, 2 segments, right? I was freezing on Monday. I was on opening day. I was freezing on Wednesday. And today, Andrew wore shorts to the game, and I wore a pants and a T-shirt, and I was hot. So, so much for that. So you never know. It might be warm there in the D this week.
No, it's possible. I see a lot of rain in the forecast, actually. I think they're going to get Tuesday's game in. Thursday looked like rain all day, but again, that's 4 or 5 days away. You never know with some of the meteorologists here. Shout out to Rich Luderman of Fox 2. And Sexy Rexy, Dave Rexroth. Anyway, but I just...
Who knows these people?
Just me. This is Radio for One. This is Radio for One.
Give me Betsy Kling. Old school.
Is Don Webster still around?
Don Webster, thank you. I was just going to say, what about Dick Goddard and the Woolly Bear Festival?
What about Mark Sanchek? Is he still around? Sanchek.
I think it's Jeff Tanchek.
Sorry. I was thinking of Mark Sanchez. Anyway, I just wanted one night game this week so I could go. Sorry, some of us work. I don't get off of work till 2:45. By the time I get down to the ballpark, it's 3:30. When I sneak in and catch the late innings, which I've done before, but we'll work it out. But so again, Indians are coming to Detroit to play the Tigers. Tigers are 7-3. Tuesday's matchup is Corey Kluber against Jordan Zimmerman. Wednesday is Bauer and Boyd. We all know Matt Boyd, the lefty, always hurts the Indians. And then Thursday, Shane Bieber against the great Spencer Turnbull.
Who?
Spencer Turnbull.
Crickets.
Crickets. Who else do we know named Spencer? Isn't there one? What's her face's son is Spencer? Our cousin?
Yes.
Should we give him a shout out? Is he a Tribe fan?
No names. Oh, yes. No names, please.
All right.
Keep that one.
Anyway. So let's get into the bullpen.
What about Spencer Willинitz? How about him? shout out to Spencer Willinitz. Okay.
Oh, there's the call.
There's two things I want to talk about. Number one, I want to talk about, first we'll go into Brad Hand because we were just talking about him, and then I want to get into the Bauer thing. So Brad Hand, today, it's the 8th inning. The score is 3-0. We got a little Neil and Ali season 2, episode 2 action, and Ali put a couple runners on base. Adam Simber comes into the game to face one. I thought was going to face multiple batters. Came in, gave up the RBI double. Score gets 3-1. Can you
name who he gave up the RBI double to?
Yeah, it was the guy who's killed us the entire series, Freddie Galvis, right?
No, it was Danny Jansen.
Oh, Danny Jansen, the catcher. Okay. And out comes Tito after one batter to bring in Hand, and it's one out in the 8th.
That 8th inning today looked like Trump's cabinet. It was a revolving door. Sorry.
Yeah, and so part of me said, I love what he's doing because this is the top of the order coming up. These are basically the only 4 guys that are going to beat you. So you got to put your best guy out there. And then part of me said, it's April, what is it, April 9th?
7th.
Today, 7th? I don't fucking know. Anyways, it's April 7th, and he's bringing out Hand for a 5-out save. But second pitch of the at-bat, little room service double play ball, Stamets to Miller.
Ooh, baby.
And he got out of it.
Rack him up.
You got yourself. Yeah, exactly. So, again, I was very conflicted. Luckily, it worked out. It could have gone sideways, but luckily it worked out.
And let's go back to Saturday, Todd, where it's a game pretty much in question. It's 7-2, and the guys out of the pen all did the job Saturday. The guys that he brought in, Otero did the job, Olsen did the job. Then he brings in John Edwards, and all of a sudden it's like, John Edwards is behind every hitter. He's got 2 guys that he puts on, and you're thinking, and even Tom Hamilton mentioned it because I was listening yesterday. And he's when he said it. Yep. And he's like, this is the last thing they need right now is to get your closer, at least get him up and warm if it becomes a 7-3 game and the tying run comes to the plate. And Edwards got out of it. Great strike 3 called on Hernandez, locked him up with a slider. So you just hope that an outing like that on Saturday gets John Edwards some confidence. But for the bullpen right now, I mean, Simber's supposed to be your 8th inning guy. He comes in today in 1 pitch, and he just doesn't have the velocity. That's what scares me a little bit. He might be a good 6th or 7th inning guy. I liked Neil today. His outing was fantastic, and the radar gun was lighting up. But from a consistency standpoint, I'm still not there with any of these guys other than Brad Hand.
We've talked about it. Neil and Hand are the only 2 guys that really get it going up there, in the high 90s. Neil was fantastic his last 2 outings. He worked the drive line this offseason with Bieber and Bauer. And, Bauer had said, Neil was one of the biggest sponges of his information, which was great. And he developed this curveball to go with that, 97 fastball. And so Neil was very good today and very good this weekend, which I like to see. I mean, listen, this was Simber. It was his first bad outing. I'm not going to freak out. The guy who's going to be ending up going into the minors is John Edwards if he doesn't get his act together, because I don't know if you saw this today, but Cody Anderson pitched 3 scoreless, striking out 4, walking 0, and I think he gave up 1 hit in Columbus. I mean, there's arms down there that are going to come up and replace.
Oh, yeah.
Clippard is going to come up at some point and be a factor. So I think we're just, Tito all weekend, you could see he used everybody.
Yep.
He was mixing and
always does.
Yeah, but this year more than ever, because there is no Andrew Miller, no Cody Allen, no Brian Shaw, no Joe Smith. You don't have they're defining roles, and
I caught some Andrew Miller yesterday for St. Louis. Ooh, rough.
Dude, he's
rough.
cooked. I've been saying it for a year.
Rough.
He was killed by 2016 Colton, and then he went right into the WBC and that World Baseball Classic, just like it ruined Vinny Pastano's career. I'm telling you, it was a big 0 for Miller. So, I was not upset when Miller left, and I said it. We got everything we wanted out of him, and we didn't need him anymore, and he's going the wrong direction. So, regardless,
I'll be
see how these roles go.
Yeah, and I'll be interested in seeing if Tuesday night in Detroit, Kluber goes 6 or 7, then who's the first guy up? And again, you're mixing and matching the Tiger lineup, very right-hand heavy, and has been for the last few years. So you'll see which right-handers he goes to. But you're right, Neil Ramirez. You look at the ERA, that bad outing earlier in the year, and he gave up a home run. So his ERA is at 6.75, and I'm an Oliver Perez fan. I think he can get it together. These teams, though, are pinch hitting and moving guys around so that he's having to face more righties than I would like. But again, this is the hand that we're dealt with at the moment until we see otherwise that any of these guys, like you said, coming up from Columbus can get the job done. All right, the other night, the Trevor Bauer situation got very, very interesting when he had the no-hitter going, Todd, for a while. And I don't know. I'm not sure you were surprised. I think a lot of people were a little taken aback by, is Tito going to let him come out for the 8th inning? And the thing that I liked about it was it is early, and I love the fact that Bauer stayed in the dugout, post-game said all the right things, that Tito, what was he at, 117 pitches? Is that what it was?
Yes, 117.
And had the no-hitter going, and obviously it was broken up and everything else. And I don't care about team no-hitters. It does nothing for me. But the fact that Bauer, I don't know, stayed in the dugout, had a good disposition about him, said after the game he agreed with Francona, I think is a plus for Tribe Nation and Tribe fans everywhere, because everybody on Twitter's like, oh, what's Bauer going to say? Can't wait for post game, and he was great about it.
I was actually really, I know this sounds sad, but I was really proud of the way he handled it, and I think he knows that he could have done it, but. Show contributor Jeremy actually, and executive producer Jeremy actually texted us this piece of information. The last guy to throw a no-hitter with throwing early April, first 2 weeks of the season, with 140 pitches was Sterling Hitchcock, the left-hander. And later in that season, he ended up being shut down and having to have Tommy John. So I think Bauer is indestructible in terms of his arm, so it wouldn't have mattered, and it would have been nice to see him do it. But 117 pitches, it was freezing. It was the right decision to do. I would, if Tito and Bauer were truly on the same page about it, then great. But I'll tell you one thing: a no-hitter is extremely, I'm not going to say overrated, but I'd rather see a guy, 18, 19, 20 strikeouts. That's way more impressive to me.
You're going to see that. You're going to see that this year a lot. I'm not saying a lot, but I'm saying that there's going to be some 18 to 20 strikeout games from Indians pitchers and others. Because, Todd, I'm watching a lot of these games, and I know it's early and it's the winter and pitching's ahead of hitting, but the swing and miss rates around the game right now are alarmingly high. The approach at the plate, that's why when you mentioned Santana before, shoot one the other way, some of these approaches by some of these hitters is just god-awful. I mean, today Clevenger had 10 Ks, and he was dialing it up and had to leave the game with a sore upper back. He says he's fine, but, I mean, I'm not saying your son Andrew could have struck some of these Blue Jays hitters out, but some of the approaches are horrible. Well,
that's a horrible team. But getting back to Bauer, we've seen him so much better in terms of other starts than he was in that start Thursday night when he was on the cusp of no hitter. He walked 6 guys. I mean, he's been better. So I was fine taking him out. It was good for sports talk radio. It was good fodder. That's about it to me.
Oh, sure.
But bottom line is they won the game, and that's all really that matters.
Well, I think you brought it up earlier too. 6-3 with the 23rd, 24th in runs and cold weather and no Lindor and everything else. And I think it's going to stay kind of status quo this week. Wouldn't surprise me if Stamets went down and Flaherty came up or something small like that. I know Terry Pluto had kind of spitballed in one of his columns. Oh, maybe they'll bring up Mike Freeman. That guy's 31-32. I saw
that. That was a 4A.
Yeah, come on. No, you're not bringing Mike Freeman up. That's the same thing as Stamets.
Not in the 40-man roster. He's not coming up. No chance.
No. I would assume it would be Ryan Flaherty or somebody like that. But until they go on some sort of losing skid, I mean, they won 4 in a row here, and they could play a lot better. But you mentioned defense too. Bowers is making plays in the outfield. I like Martin in center, although he's got to start hitting and putting the ball in play. Naquin's done the job and right. A couple of balls hit to Jose were nice, and I know everybody says, "Oh, Roberto Perez hitting over under 100 again," but all the pitchers have been raving about him. And even Plawecki catches a pretty good game. And you know what? Plawecki gives you a professional at bat.
Yes, he is definitely there for his bat, not his glove.
But he's decent. And so, look.
Yeah, he's a good backup. He's an ideal backup. He's got good pop. He's not a terrible receiver, but Robo is an elite receiver. And, if our lineup was the way it looked at the end of last year, for example, and Roberto was hitting 9th, and he hit, 180, no one would care.
No, you're right.
Because he's handling the staff so well.
And again, the Indians are 6-3. Think about Boston at 2-8 or 3-8, whatever they're at. Yankees at 5-4. Houston's 5-5. Seattle is surprised at 9-2. So I saw Edwin took the Parrot for a ride today in Chicago. Good for him.
Yeah, good for Edwin. Listen, I like Eddie. I do. I think he gave us everything he could here. He was a good dude, good in the locker room. I enjoyed the Eddie experience. I know, I think people had too high expectations of what he was supposed to be, but, good for him.
Speaking of final thing, let's talk about Groove Ride for a second. We almost forgot about our friends at Groove Ride. The reason why Todd is in such great shape and looks so good, right?
Yeah. Here's the thing about Groove Ride, okay? I talk about it incessantly. I talk about how much I love it. I talk about how much the people are fantastic and it's a community. But I'm not joking, people. Come on and join me. Take a spin class. Take boot camp. Try boxing. Try their bar program. Try the bands. They're a fantastic place. I love it. 3 locations again. You got the brand new one, Shops at Van Aken. You got my home, Woodmere. And then you got the one downtown across from Perk Park. Give them a try. Groove Ride, GROOVERYDE.com. Tell them Todd sent you.
Final thing here on the podcast, the Dery Brothers Tribecast for this Sunday night edition. Tribe at 6-3 and staring up in the standings at the Tigers. A big series alert. Let's talk about Les Levine. More sports and Les Levine. We're talking 50 years. Terry Pluto's written some great pieces about him, and he's being honored this week. Todd, he's like family to us. This is an exciting time for Les. Well-deserved honors coming up this week.
I couldn't be happier for him. Les is one of the great dudes we've ever known. He was a super close, if not best friend to our late father. Like you said, Les is family to us. You and I have both done his show many times. Sports professional. Our father was a original sports professional. But Les has done so much for the Cleveland sports community and sports talk. Great radio host, TV host, now internet host. Les is the man. This guy has earned this amazing honor, and I'm proud to say that he's a friend of ours, and I love him, and I couldn't be happier for him. So props out to you, Les. We love you. Congrats.
Great show, Les.
Today?
Always. All right, that'll wrap
with a final how come quickie before we go?
What about parking a driveway and driving a parkway?
Driving a parkway?
It's always a classic. Working with him for that 1 year at WHK, I mean, that was just like a thrill for me. I mean, it was pretty unbelievable. I mean, and some of the calls that didn't get through, some of the those will be in a book one day. He's an incredible guy, and he loves his tribe. You know, you can go down to a day game, one of those noon games. Todd will always be there, but you can see Les sometimes just sitting there by himself, taking in baseball. That's why when I was thinking back to 2016, nobody deserved a title more at that point than Les Levine. So good stuff, Todd. As always, man, appreciate it. Big time week for you. You got in 3 games. What'd you guys go? 2-1. So you did well.
Yeah, I went to 50% of the games, 2-1. You know, I'm on pace. I got to pick it up a little bit. You know, work sometimes screws me. You know, people don't think that I have a real job, but I do. I'm going to keep the pace. I know we're on the road trip, but when they come back against the Braves, I'll be at 2 out of 3 of those in a couple weekends. So let's watch some Maddie and Rick and Dre and enjoy it.
All right, there he is, Todd Dery. For him, this is Matt Dery. Again, another edition of the Dery Brothers Tribecast. Thanks to our friends at waitingfornextyear.com, where you can find the podcast and also Groove Ride. We'll talk to you again next week. Go Tribe.